pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to the Select Board meeting of November 2nd. First business, minutes of the October 19th meeting.
So moved.
Been moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions, concerns, errors, omissions?
One T missing on the yellow.
Was the I dotted?
I'm not sure because it was brought to our attention.
Okay. Thank you. Seeing none, all those in favor? Abstentions? One abstention. Passes. Public comment.
Walter, you want to say something? No.
Seeing none, we'll pass over number 3, and we'll go to number 4, Public Works Report. John?
There. So, what the word for word is summarized. Summarized, perfect. So we've been pretty busy this summer. We completed the sidewalk on the Wells Road from High Street down to Main Street and up from Main Street up to the Depot Street. All the new granite curb and hot topping. We moved it out about 28 inches out from the existing hot top. Face of the curb and moved the poles back and forth to make hopefully be easier plowing this winter. That's always been an issue since I've been here, is trying to deal around the poles. So that'll be a great improvement. The roads we paved this year were Adams Street, Thomas Street, Birch Street, Lothrop Street, Cayman Street, the Munson Road, the Munson Extension. We paved the Stanford Road, Cemetery Road, the end of the Pratt Road, which goes from pretty much the last farmhouse down to the water plant. That's pretty rough and hard to maintain in wintertime because it was so rough. We rebuilt 1,200 feet of the Farmer Road, we rebuilt 800 feet of the Bryant Road, and we rebuilt Gilbert Street South. The length of Farmer Road, we ended up overlaying 2,600 feet with coal mix. There's still about 1,500 feet of dirt towards the end of the road, but there's no need to put any hot top on it. Flat road, it's an easy dirt road to maintain. Bryant Road, I said the 800 feet we rebuilt was a hill past the hall, Mason's Hall Lodge, and we ended up overlaying the whole thing with coal mix also. Once we get the roads done, prep pavement, which includes ditching, replacing culverts as needed, and removing the brush where required. We ditched the length of the Grath Road, be ready for next year's pavement project, part of next year's pavement projects. We also removed some rocks outside of poking up through Blue Spruce Road. We still have some more to do up there. We were going to shim that this year, but some of the rocks we took out were about half size of Volkswagen, so we're going to wait till next year to shim that, because it's going to divot again on us for this year. And the paving crew kind of ran out of time, and they're also struggling with help. They usually have 3 crews going. This year they had 2 crews going, and we wanted to pave a couple more roads, but we didn't have time this year either, so we'll continue it next spring. And they said they hold the price for this year's price to next year's paving, which is until we put out the bid again. And throughout the summer, we also replaced driveway culverts as needed. We rented the sidewalk machine, the small excavator with a mowing head on it. So we're able to mow, which cuts the brush on the side of the road so we can't reach past the ditch. And we're able to get the whole length of the Orchard Drive done, and from Main Street up to Morrison Hill on Temple Road and Morrison Hill done. That just saves tons and tons of man-hours for us. We also paved Morrison Hill, which was pretty rough. We really zooming in a few years ago. We've got our sand all out for the winter time. We're almost ready for winter, so when it snows we'll be ready. We got all the truck plow gear all installed. Went through all the hoses and inspected the plows and the headgear. They all look good, but every time it snows we break at least 1 hose or 2 hoses. It happens every year to us. The equipment's been pretty good this summer. Recently, the 2002 International, one of the new trucks we got, has a problem with the dead fluid. the sending unit starts reading empty, full, so it's puts in the rate mode, which doesn't give you the football engine to do what you're gonna do. The parts are on back order, the dealership. The dealer did get a variance from the EPA to override it until they get the parts in from back order, so we're able to use the truck for now. The sister truck, the one we just like it, it's more like gonna have the same thing, and hopefully they do the same thing for us, but can't guarantee it. And yesterday, I back ordered the same thing, those parts are back ordered, and we have no ETA when parts are coming. So that's down until we get those parts in. Hopefully it's in a few weeks, but I doubt it. What else we got? Oh, that's an 2016 International four-wheel drive truck we had. The four-wheel drive hasn't been working, so we tried to fix it in the garage, couldn't figure it out. Ended up bringing it down to MRSA Sylvester, well, Alliance is on now. And so they get it down there now, they're gonna hopefully get going for when I get it. Sickle mower, we use our regular maintenance on the roadside. It's not really the right tool for the job. It seems to break every time we go out with it, within a few hours of using it. We'd like to kind of trade that in for a flail mower, which is more like a rotator for mowers, because it's brushing it a little better. Hopefully have less issues with it, but that's something we're looking into. The cost is that from like $9,000 to like $11,000. There's something we're looking into at the moment. And that's pretty much it for the highway. The cemetery, we spent, well, pretty much Tim and his helper spent almost more time mowing this year than the past. The grass never seems to start growing, due to the monitoring we had. We had some other project we wanted to get done. We wanted to fill some of the roadways in with gravel that we normally do each year, but we never get to that. They were able to straighten about 70% of the headstones in the East Dixfield Cemetery. A lot of the small stones we do it by hand and not all labor. There's some bigger ones at Wiles. We talked to Wiles about straightening them up for us, but he hasn't got to them yet. And I think the year before we talked to him too, and he hasn't really made it for us yet. So that's all I'm going. And the transfer station, we're able to reopen the share shack, which we'll talk about a little bit. We completed the office relocation. Now it's a lot easier for Walter and his helper to go in and off the platform without going down around and slipping the ice or whatever it may be. And inclement days, and actually watch from inside if they need to. And people come, they go outside and help. The scene did a little more demolition this year. I don't think quite as much as last year, was it?
No.
It's pretty busy the last 2 years, a lot busier than normal. I think a lot of people home, cleaning all the stuff out in the houses and stuff, so they have more times on their hand. The tire disposals, we'd like to increase it by $1. Right now it's $2, and like $3. So the price of tires has gone up a little bit to get rid of them. I think I want to say it's $109 a ton to get rid of tires. And I think the average tire weighs, I want to say 44 pounds. So we had tires up just around 250, 275 to get rid of a tire, plus a little labor to handle them. And we'd like to set the clocks back after this weekend on Wednesdays from 9 to 5, so I'd make it 9 to 4 rather than 10 to 5 for 1 hours. And that's the report. And the share shack, we had issues with today and in the past too. Today about 1 o'clock, I was cleaning it out, it's pretty messy up there. And I guess someone dropped some stuff off this morning and didn't realize I realized how bad it was getting. It was pretty much a disaster. And so we started cleaned it up pretty good and gave Rhonda calls, pictures, and we're wondering another way of handling it, or what other options we'd have to keep it a little cleaner. I know a couple hours, go up every hour, every half hour, check it, make sure it's okay, see what kind of stuff that people are putting in there. Unless someone's volunteer, send a day, a couple hours here and there to supervisors going in there. But there's posters everywhere saying what you can and can't put in. It says no boxed items, no beddings, no kitchens and refrigerators, big appliances. You find stuff out behind the share shack sometimes. You can't always get out there. Some ACs, sometimes used oils. We don't charge to take used oil, but it ends up there sometimes. So we're just thinking other ways to keep it open to the public, but manageable too. So any suggestions or anything would be greatly helpful.
Well, I think what we need to do, I think we need to close it now and then have the recycle, whoever, am I on the solid waste committee?
Yeah, actually, that's something I put on here.
Okay,
is that
so I
don't
think we
have
need to
any-
convene that. I would close it, clean it out, close it, and just put a note up on it that we're gonna review whether it's gonna continue to be operated or not. Walter doesn't need to go up and clean that. That was a hole today. I don't go up there often. I just kind of poke my head in there and it's become that.
Yeah.
So that would be my recommendation, and then we need to convene that, because there's two other questions that have come to me. One is, well, three, actually. One is about recycling, and, you know, I'd like to get, and this would come from the recycling committee too, or the solid waste committee, whatever they're called, to get what Arches does with the stuff. Does he really recycle it? Are we going through this effort, and because the recycling price is so low, when it gets there, they just throw it in the trash?
Yeah.
And I don't know that, and so it's something we need to follow up with. If it's all right with you, I'll work with Rhonda to send them a letter to say, hey, can you please tell us where this goes and how it goes? Because we spend a lot of time down there, and it appears to save us money, but at the end of the day, it may just all go into the dump. The second thing that somebody suggested, which is not a good idea, because I think it helps you guys, is kind of, we did this years ago, is hang an example. In some cases we got it, some cases we don't, of what can go there, and put like a flyer together. That when Pete Chamberlain did that years ago, still have it on my kitchen door that says what goes where when you're cycling. And the third thing, Walter, do we have a problem with people from out of town coming in there without stickers?
I've pretty much caught most of what the contractors, and most of them are gone now.
Okay, so it's not something we need to do from the reinstate the
No,
sticker thing?
I've been checking people's
Okay.
stickers quite frequent. If I don't know them, I have to check your stickers.
Okay, so that's not the issue then, but the other two and this one, I think, would be something that committee needs to get together. So David, I would make a motion that we close the Share Shack until the recycling solid waste management committee gets together and figure out how we want to handle it all.
And are you gonna tie in the change of hours?
And the change of hours as recommended.
I second that.
Been moved and seconded, any comments? Tiff?
Yeah. When we do get to that point of the share shack, one of the things that I've seen in the past, I don't know, it's just my own observation, is that it seems when I was dropping off things, I would drop off things to share with the community. And then I would drop off good sewing machine, drop off something else. And then I would go that next weekend and I would see those same items in somebody's yard sale.
Yeah.
And so I think that's part of the problem is that people that are dropping off good items, that other people are coming by and hoarding all the good items. So it's stopped becoming a share shack and more of a, where do I get to take
Swap
the
share.
stuff? I don't know if that's still, that is actually the case, but that was my experience. So when we do get into that, that's just something to take into consideration. If we're gonna reopen it, how do we make it a true share shack for the community?
And if I could, I'd like to amend my motion to include the $2 to $3 fee for the tires.
And I will second the amendment.
And Mr. Chair, I would like to say that I think Walter and the guys up there do an outstanding job. I've told them that. I appreciate their energy up there. They are willing to help people that need the help. So Walter, publicly, I want to say thank you for what you've
Good,
done.
thank you.
So don't give me a hard time next time.
Always getting the hell done.
I'll be disappointed if you didn't.
So the motion is to close a
Share Shack.
share shack, change the hours,
After.
and then the increase on tire recycling cost.
At the and have the recycling committee.
Recycling committee review.
And just for clarification, the hours are only Wednesdays from 9 to 4 to 10 to 5, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nope.
10 to
Yeah,
5 to
wait.
9 to
10 to
4.
5 to 9 to
10 to,
4.
okay, yes.
You gotta go backwards.
We're falling back.
Yeah.
For daylight savings time.
Going back to standard.
It does confuse people at first, before and after, but
Yeah.
it's rather than be dark up there, it's a lot safer.
Any other questions? All those in favor? It's unanimous.
Quick comment on the transfer station stickers. We do give them out at the town office, and we do record everybody's name and their license plate number. And the transfer station passes expire every 3 years, and then we give out a different color with a different expiration date to try to get it so that if somebody sells the vehicle, it's not going off 10 years or something.
Cheriann.
Yeah, need a new sticker. I didn't realize that. I still have, I think, the original one that we did.
John?
Red one.
Accept my report.
I'll make a
yeah.
motion, we accept John's report.
Thank you.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you for your report and the work you folks do.
Thank you very much. Have a good night. Next file.
Walter has to stay.
What?
You don't have to stay here. That motion wasn't approved.
Really? No, do I have to stay?
No.
Oh.
You have things to do.
So I won't keep you guys too long. I want to let the selectmen know that we have a strategic planning coming up with RSU 9. We're going to have surveys available to the public from November 4th until December 18th. And we're also going to be holding forums to get feedback in the communities in all of our 10 towns, along with also helping people work through the surveys. And we are going to see, you'll probably see some other opportunities of some of the members of the strategic planning joined right now. I can't believe I beat you.
She sent me a note she was gonna be late.
But we're gonna have many different opportunities in our communities and the businesses for some of the strategic planning committee members to field any kind of questions. And so this is just kind of the preliminary right now of just letting our towns know that we're going to be partaking in this. But we will have many opportunities for forums and questions. And the strategic planning is in the beginning stages too, so we may ask for more feedback at a later time. This is just right now a 6-question survey that we're looking to get some results from.
Tom?
Oh, I thought you said you had something. Would we do those as individuals, or do you want them done as a group?
You could, right now I think we're doing individuals. Yeah, I mean, I think the idea of like groups as far as like getting that feedback from the entire planning board committee would be fine, and I think it would probably be very useful, but the survey specifically is designed for individuals, yeah.
And the purpose was that's why we're going to a large number of stakeholders groups, so that we have a more diverse information available.
Yeah, I think we've identified about 32, I think
Yep.
it was, different stakeholder groups, including the large businesses in the area, like the hospital and UMF, and some of the other businesses in the area, some of the sending school parents, obviously our staff, the students, and all of you and all of the citizenry in the 10 towns, so.
And I think it's helpful to point out that this is something that's going to be ongoing. So even once the plan is in place, the committee is not disbanded. It's still going to be an ongoing thing that we're going to be doing.
Yeah, we're going to try to set up some milestones and some targets for the staff members to make sure that at different intervals we can have check-in points and make sure that we're meeting the targets of the strategic plan.
Super.
Jeff?
So, I mean, Mrs., how long are you looking at, like a 5-year, 10-year strategic plan, or?
I think it was 7 years, I think that was the original target, but again, we're still looking for feedback. So, you know, if we hear that people are looking for a 5-year and that's it, and, you know, I'm sure the committee would keep that in consideration, or 10 years, and that's what they're looking for. I think we're still at the early stages, so we welcome that input.
We're here at the early stages because obviously select boards meet at different times, and we're on kind of a time frame, and so we'd rather be ahead of the the plan than behind the plan, and letting you know what we're doing. So
Yeah,
I think that's why we're here early.
Any other questions?
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you.
More to come.
Pleasure to see you as always.
And the survey.
When it's cold.
Right on, yeah. Survey's right on mountbluersd.org.
By the end of the week, right?
I think it's on the 4th,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Thursday. I think we should see it out there if people want to go ahead and fill it out.
Maybe what you can do, Rhonda, is remind us with the address.
And I also believe that the administration is going to be bringing something to each town office to set up as a display, if that's okay with you. All right.
Thank you.
You so
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks, guys.
Wow, I have more than this at mine. I'm gonna come to yours.
It's voting day, that's why.
Right?
Next up, discussion of the ARP funding.
So, we have received the first half of our ARPA funding. Paperwork is filled out, got it. What I've done is I've put it into a separate money market account at Androscoggin Bank. We will receive that amount for the first half is $220,000. I think that's the money I told you. The second half, not sure the exact date that we get that, but that will be coming also for a total of $440,000. We'll still be meeting, like, I've got an MMA meeting just to get a little bit more information. And I'm hoping to bring back maybe some information on a potential coordinator to oversee, make sure that we cross our Ts and dot our Is on correctly spending it, because we don't want to spend it thinking that we're okay, find out when we do our reports, which are always after the fact, that we have to pay it back because we didn't do it correctly. There's a lot that goes with it, and everything is not really clear, cut and dry. But thought that we could, maybe just start. I know we've done a little bit of putting some things down on a list of some of the things that you might want to be putting it towards. I'll read the general categories. One category is public health, which gets into vaccination, testing, personal protective equipment. I won't read every single one of them. Another category is negative economic impacts, which could go towards household assistance for food programs, rent, mortgage, utility aid, internet access programs, cash assistance to unemployed workers. Another category, other economic things, aid to tourism, travel, or hospitality. That's all under that second category of negative economic impacts. The next category is services to disproportionately impacted communities. Early learning, childcare, home visiting, affordable housing, etc. The fourth category is premium pay, which would be pay for public sector employees, or the other category under that one is grants to other employers. Fifth category is infrastructure. A lot of that covers wastewater and water, stormwater, water conservation, non-point source pertaining to water, drinking water transmission and distribution, which is exactly what we are doing, and broadband projects like what they call last mile projects and other projects. Category 6 is revenue replacement. In the event that the town lost a lot of revenue, it can show that they lost the revenue due to something that may have happened last year during COVID time. And category 7 is administrative and other. So, of course, as we start to come up with some things, and then we come up with some more, and you narrow it down. What they have said is that before you spend any of it, that you need to have a public hearing and a town meeting vote in order to spend it. So it's not just this board coming up with it and then putting that out. I mean, and for us, it's a town meeting because we're not a council. Some communities, such as Rumford, doesn't do town meeting anymore, so their council can vote to put these out. Not sure if you wanted to start coming up with some more tonight, or if you want to think about it and we start making a list next meeting and continue on.
You just said you have some more meetings with MMA. It seems that you need to
another
get
one from MMA.
another clarification, and then maybe send out a list, and then we can brainstorm
Okay.
one online and send it back to you.
And I know we've started a few items, so I'll add that to the list, and I'll check with accounting too, unless some of you want to start tonight. What do you want to?
I would, for me, I think if we schedule time, try to lighten our agenda like on the first meeting in December, and dedicate some time for conversation.
I would agree.
and that we're there.
I'm going to scan this out. You can actually go right to Maine Municipal and see there is a lot, and it's on the homepage, so you don't have to log in or anything. There is a lot of information on this there. Our intern that we had a couple of years ago is now hired by Maine Municipal, and this is his project. If we ever need him to come, whether in person, because he did go up to the county, or we need to Zoom him in and ask any specific questions, he'll be a good resource for us, and he's familiar with the town because he went to every single department. So I'll do that. I'll send this out so you can kind of get an idea of the categories. If you want anything more specific, we can look that up. And then if you could start brainstorming some of the ideas, I'll add to it the ideas that we already, I've got a folder that we started that we've thrown out a few times, some things on this. And I'll send that out too.
So I agree. I think, attending more MMA meetings. One thing that I'd really like to hone in on for clarification is the premium pay, what we can do retroactively, what we can do forward. I'm not asking for that now, but if you can get that clarification, because that's one area I would like to see,
There have been a number of towns already that are putting funds towards it to either employees that, and not, all employees that worked during that part of COVID, and there are a number that are using it as premium pay to attract employees in certain categories of departments such as police.
And I'd like to add that in the daycare thing, because one of the things that I've at least read about is that a lot of people that are not able to go back to work is because their daycare is closed. And so they're forced to stay home because they have a child. It might be something that the town might be able to help with as a possibility, to at least start. So that's one I want to know a little bit more about.
Possibility of grants or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll put those two down. No? Ben? Just kidding, he didn't have any ideas.
I have lots of ideas.
Okay.
He's saving them until the 1st of
He's saving
December.
it. All right. Anything else on that?
Manager's report.
Well, I was going to give Heidi's information, but Heidi can under other business. I was gonna say trick or trunk, how that went this week, and then also the funds that you received. So we'll do that under other business. Okay, and at this point, I don't think I have anything else that I remember from the manager's report.
Other business.
Maybe that could be me. I think Trick or Trunk was a huge success. I have no idea how many kids went through, more than 1,000 for sure. At one point, they said that vehicles were backed up all the way to East Wilton. So I don't know that because I was stuck downtown. But it seemed to be a very positive event. We had no incidents that occurred. We had great public contact. We spent $700 on candy from the fund that we have. And there's also $1,900 that we have in drug forfeiture money, which we'd like to be dedicated to that, so that the Trick or Trunk funds come from drug proceeds from those cases. If that's okay, to put that money towards that. The other thing that's in that forfeiture case, if it's approved on by the board, is there's a firearm that we seized during that, which is now ours. I'm not big on selling firearms. I'd like to trade the firearm to our FFL, federally licensed firearms dealer, in trade for work done on the firearms. We have regular maintenance and stuff done on them, and that takes that burden back off the town. Seems like a responsible thing to do with it, if that's okay.
Tone.
I was at Trunk or Treat.
I never saw
I
you.
was at the Masons,
You've been,
and the Lions Club is across the street, so I would say it was a huge success.
do you think about 1,000?
It's hard to
It's
tell.
so
All I
hard.
know is I kept looking and line never ended of the cars coming. And only a couple suggestions that came out of our conversation is that might start it earlier so that it gets closer to dark, not because we're not in daylight savings, we're still in daylight savings time. So start it at 3 o'clock and finish it at 5 because we still have light. That's just a suggestion. And the other thing, I know we shut it off when we all ran out of candy, but somehow figure out a way that, don't wait, because I understand there were people.
Oh, it's terrible to leave kids without candy,
Yeah.
they're waiting in that line for so long. So actually, one of the things to do is for all the people who came and participated, is I want to send them back a survey. Should we do it just as one-way traffic? Should we do it earlier? Next year, should it be people walking? Because this year we wouldn't allow it. So there are lots of things that could change or improve. And I think the people who handed out candy and saw that are probably the best ones to ask. So I
Walking's a
thought
great
I'll do
idea,
a
too.
survey
Yeah.
and see what people think about that before we set up for next year.
Yeah, but let me tell
Day
you,
of the week.
I'm sorry?
I say it would depend on what day of the week it falls.
Well, you do it.
It really does.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
I am a big fan of, kids actually want to go out on Halloween.
Yeah.
So,
Good point, good point, I hadn't thought about that. It was a huge success, I mean, there were just kids coming through. The only thing that concerns me is some of them were hanging out of the vehicles.
other,
It's like, oh, jeez.
yeah, we had no,
No accident, I know, but it was, the response was phenomenal. I mean, it was a lot of fun. I mean, we went through 3 big buckets of candy, and when we ran out, Sonny came by, says, you all done? Yep, we're done, good, you can go home. We went home.
So did you have a motion?
I do have a motion. I have a motion that the drug forfeiture money in the firearm, as I described.
Second.
Be accepted and let it go as she described.
That's exactly what I said. Thank you.
Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's unanimous. I have one. Have you heard any word back from Foothill Land Trust yet?
I talked to them today. They are going to meet with their board and determine about getting together with at least the engineers and to see what the next steps would be to look at testing.
And that's about the aquifer under the head of the lake.
The business stuff?
Yes.
I think Rhonda talked to you guys a little bit about it. Apparently, we left dispensary undefined or out of the marijuana ordinances. And we need to have some clarification of what we can do and what we can't do to get that taken care of. So if it's all right with the board, I'd like to ask, if we have some of Rhonda's time to work with the attorney to get sorted out how we can expedite that as quick as we possibly can.
I think that's a great idea, and maybe we could, because that would take a special town meeting to
Yes, it
approve.
would.
Right.
So maybe we could tie that in with the ARPA. One special town meeting, 2 items.
Yeah.
So maybe somewhere the first of the year that we can jump on that.
Yeah. I have spoken to the attorney about whether or not dispensaries would fit in, but because it's not in our ordinance that was approved, then anybody that wants to do a dispensary, and dispensary fits in under medical marijuana, and for that particular one, a caregiver just has their own patients, but with a dispensary, a caregiver can grow and sell to other retail stores.
And they need that
Legally.
certificate from the town in order to go to the state to get their
Yes.
license. So since we don't have it, just make sure that that timing is okay. But that's all right with everybody. I'd like to get that sorted out.
Any other
So it's okay.
business?
Move we go into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056A personnel.
Second. And moved and seconded, and all those in favor? It's unanimous.
Unanimous.